You are now listening to Almost 30 Podcast.
Welcome to the show, everybody. It's Lindsay and Krista.
We mixed up our intro words.
I'm proud of us. And I'm not interrupting you.
We're not robots. Welcome to Almost 30. If you're new here, we're so glad you're here. We know there's a lot of pods to listen to out there, so we really appreciate you choosing Almost 30. We really just want to provide real perspectives on this growth journey that we are all on. Lindsay and I started the show when we were in our 20s, and now we were in our 30s. And we love our community so much. We're so grateful to do what we do.
It's a season where we're meeting and running into a lot of you in person, which is actually so nice. I feel like 2020, 2021, we were very much like not seeing people in person like that. And I've literally like ran into some of you in my neighborhood. And it makes me
same. I'm like, people like want to leave me because I'm like talking to them so much. They're like, I've got to go.
I was taking a video of this peony that was waving in the wind in someone's garden. And I was just like, it was like 15 seconds. I was just like, and then one of our gals, Jess, who's in the community, she's a sweetheart. She's like, hey, and I've run into her before. And I was like, did you see me taking that video? I was like, catch it later.
She's my favorite. Jessa sent me cat toys.
She is an animal lover. She's such a...
I love her.
She's awesome.
The gifts that I've gotten from our audience include a retainer holder when I was doing Smile Direct.
Shout out to
from Susie. And then from Jess, some cat toys. We got that license plate that said Almost 30.
Dude, from Kasim.
Kasim made this very creative Almost 30 license plate. So we get some of the best.
We literally get some of the best.
Some of the best things.
I'm ready for more. So if you guys want to send us
honestly, we'll give you our P.O. box. Yeah, we're excited about this episode too. I feel like this is a conversation that's been in, the zeitgeist a little bit for both of us personally and even for our audience. I think because we are a community of people within our membership, and when we were on tour, we're really close to all of our listeners and our audience. And so we kind of keep our finger on the pulse of what you're going through and what you're talking to us in the DMs about or in our community threads. And I think friendship breakups has been a really relevant and pertinent topic of conversation.
Yeah, I'm curious if astrologically there's something that was going on this past, I feel like 6 months where it was over, I feel like the holidays into like late winter, early spring that like I had just a wave of whether people kind of breaking up with me or me having just a little reckoning within relationships and whether it helped the relationship and it really brought it to the next level or it was the ending of it. It was something I hadn't experienced before. Like I really have been quite easy to be friends with.
100.
And just
literally.
But to a fault, obviously.
Yes.
To a fault.
But it's funny, I was asking before to Lindsay, I was like, when we were doing this, I was like, how many friendship breakups have you had or whatever? She's like, not, what'd you say? I was like, have you ever had a friendship breakup besides recently? And you said no.
Besides like 8th grade
I feel like
bully.
all my shit blows the fuck up. Like, everyone's like, I'm friends with all my exes. I'm like, I'm sure they have like voodoo dolls of me. Like, there's no like cool... I actually have some exes.
There's like no bad blood with. Yes.
No, I have like one that we'd be cool.
That's hilarious.
Isn't it? And the others would be like literally like.
Maybe it's your way of cutting or dissolving the cord.
Yeah. Yeah. Just ruining their lives. Just ruining their lives. When I did my ayahuasca ceremony years ago, I didn't really have much of an experience, but I do remember I was taken through all the pain of all the heartbreak I've caused to the people that I've dated. And I was like, oh, wow, this was really hard.
I had a similar flash.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, okay.
That was hard.
Got it.
And then my consciousness is like, my ego's like, that was hard for them. Like, I'm kind of amazing. That was really hard for them. But when you're in the ayahuasca, you're like in the heart of it. And you're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry and heartbroken. So, and I've had within friendship breakups, I feel like because of my mother wound more so, and I think we'll talk a little bit about the mother wound and its impact on friendship breakups. I've had friendship breakups over the years that have felt really deeply painful and where I've gotten so intimate with the people in my life and the women that I've been friends with that it became crunchy or challenging to grow or for me to evolve, or the hard conversations
Mm.
became crunchy or hard, or yeah, it was maybe hard for them to be themselves fully or me to be myself fully. But I've had challenging ones and I've had, sort of more peaceful ones, but it's definitely been some of the greatest pain in my life, for sure.
Oh, yeah. I think just like the sisterhood piece that I feel like I'm only now really understanding the positive power of it in my
Mhm.
life. Like I kind of avoided it for so long because it felt complicated. It felt like too much at times for me to um show up for and hold. Um but I feel like in my 30s I realized that I owe it to myself to show up to my meaningful friendships with women and not only be myself, but ask for what I need and to, it's like not allow bad behavior sounds a little savage, but it's more so be so present in the moment and be able to say what's true for me because I tend to be pretty complacent in those relationships where I just want to make that person feel really comfortable and good.
Mhm.
And sometimes in friendship, like I've had a few reckonings with people where they're telling me the truth of their experience of me and I'm saying in my head, I would never do that to them.
Mhm.
I just want you know what I mean?
Yes,
Where I'm almost
yeah.
afraid to rock the boat
Yeah.
because I'm like that's not friendship.
Mhm. Yeah, it's interesting in that because what happens is sometimes if someone's coming to you with a situation, it's like you forget that you also have an opinion and perspective too.
Yes,
And it's like
exactly.
you kind of just switch. And this is, I'm saying you as a
Yes.
euphemism, you switch into the victim. You're like, I
Yes.
would never, I love them as they are. But it's like
Yes.
you actually before this would have something that you would want to bring to them, but you haven't given yourself permission to do. And so
Exactly.
you're just sort of like receiving it and you're like, well, what the fuck? I have shit
Uh-huh.
to say too.
Uh-huh.
Like I have
Uh-huh.
beef, but I'm scared to say it or I'm scared to bring it up.
Yep. And that's been like the fine line
Yep.
where I'm like, I want to stay true to my nature. And then also I want to evolve and
Yeah.
challenge myself to like really say what's true for me and
Mhm.
not be afraid that this person is going to feel ashamed or get mad or anything like that. So it's been very challenging at times.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So in this episode, we're going to go through some of the questions that we got from you in the DMs just to kind of frame our conversation, and then we're going to talk about steps to heal through a friendship breakup. So how to heal from a friendship breakup. We'll go through steps that we've done, tried and true, that we recommend for you.
I'm sure you've seen this brand around, but maybe you haven't tried it yet. Moon Juice. Y'all, I cannot tell you how good this brand is. And I've been using it for years. Supplements, cellular waters, dusts. Honestly, say no more. Dusts. Do you want a dust in your cabinet? I think so. I love their brain dust, actually. It's a nootropic blend of adaptogens and herbs that target stress to support mental stamina, alertness, and concentration. And this blend is really informed by traditional Chinese medicine and Ayurveda, which so many of their formulations are. Combines lion's mane, ginkgo, rhodiola, ashwagandha, astragalus, and maca. It's vegan, gluten-free, non-GMO, and caffeine-free. That is just one of the many products that I am absolutely dying for from Moon Juice. I also love Super You. Okay, so this is for stress management. It's your daily multi adaptogen to unstress you. Okay, 2 caps a day. That's it. And you will keep the stress away. This is a clinical strength formula that helps regulate cortisol for proactive and reactive stress support. I just want you to have the best summer ever. So let's reduce our stress when we can so we can relax, enjoy the sunshine and friends and experiences, and really like be in our life. And I really think all of Moon Juice's products help you to be in your life, be in your body. So check them out. I'm really excited for you. You're going to have fun just like perusing the website because it's so gorgeous, so gorgeous. So if you need support with energy, with libido, brain health, dreaming, beauty and skin, immunity, maybe your spirit and your mood. Check out Moon Juice products. And of course, you know us, we got you. We have a discount. If you go to moonjuice.com/almost30, use the code almost30 for 20% off. What I love also is that many of their products come in reusable glass bottles, and refills are fulfilled with compostable pouches to refill your original bottle. How amazing. Amazing, amazing. So thank you, Moon Juice. You're the best. Moonjuice.com/almost30. Use the code almost30 for 20% off. Every single day, whether I take it with cold water or I put it in my smoothie, I have Athletic Greens. This is a staple in my routine. It is a staple in what I am putting in my body, and for good reason. I'm sure you've heard about it, but AG1 by Athletic Greens is the category-leading superfood product. This brings a comprehensive, super convenient daily nutrition to everybody. So this is one single scoop. Let me tell you what's in one single scoop. It's going to absolutely blow your mind. It has 75 vitamins, minerals, and whole food sourced ingredients, including a multivitamin, multi-mineral, probiotic, green superfood blend, and more in that one scoop, that one serving per day. All of their ingredients are of the best quality. They are obsessed with making sure it's high quality, bioavailable. I've trusted them for years. They've been a partner of the show for years, and for good reason. We've heard from so many of you out there who have started using Athletic Greens in your routine, and it just changes everything. Your digestion, your skin, your energy. And this is in one scoop. I'm going to say it many times because sometimes we get overwhelmed with taking all the supplements, keeping it all straight. If you're someone who would want to get a comprehensive support within one scoop, vitamins, minerals, whole food supplements, this is for you. It's also great just to fill in nutritional gaps. I've recommended it to many people in my life who, I feel like are wanting to, really support themselves, support a healthy lifestyle to nourish their bodies, but don't know where to start. This is a great way to start. Plus, it sets the tone for everything else you do, really sets the tone for other healthy habits. So go to athleticgreens.com/almost30. Again, athleticgreens.com/almost30 to take control of your health. And with your purchase, you are going to get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs. Those travel packs I take with me everywhere. So with your purchase, you're going to get free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs. Go to athleticgreens.com/almost30.
So one of the questions that we get a lot, and I think is a good framing question for this, is how do you know when it's time to break up with a friend?
I mean, clearly I didn't know for 30
Yeah.
years. What, you know what I mean?
Oh, yes.
I feel like there were so many friendships that just, and I think this is natural, but I also think some of them deserved a conversation that just kind of dissolved,
Mm-hmm.
And there was no closing of a loop. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think it's
Yeah.
necessary always, but with certain friendships, I do think that it could have deserved a conversation. So for me, I think I know when I am feeling more judged than
Mm-hmm.
and projected onto
Yeah.
than in conversation with. So to me, that feels in my body like I need to shut down and close my heart because I don't feel safe to be vulnerable. Because I feel like if I'm vulnerable, I will be judged. What is not mine will be projected onto me. And then I don't feel as though there can be real perspective gained from that point. My body tells me so much, like within friendship, where I'm like, oh yeah, that didn't feel good, or I feel closed now, or I feel a little bit out of my body because someone's making me feel uncomfortable. Um, and it's also been just another telling sign for me is that if someone is unwilling to relate to me now as like Lindsay 34 years old. This is where I am in my life and unwilling to relate and get to know me now. And they're only working on and relating to the Lindsay when they met me or the season of life that they felt most close to me, then I feel like it's just time.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's a huge one. Yeah, I feel like mine, it's interesting because they've been when I was less conscious. So
Yeah.
it's like a different situation when you're coming into a friendship breakup or needing space when you're more conscious because you're like, okay, I can kind of see the patterns. I can kind of see how I'm participating in this. I can see how they're participating in this. And you are more in tune with your energy and how you feel. And I think for people that are not sure about if they should break up with a friend or kind of on the journey of discovering that, I think journaling is really important. And I know this is like journaling, schmurnaling. It's so corny, but it's
It's true.
really important that you're able to track how you're feeling energetically. And I think there was friendships where I felt so energetically off. Like I remember this one situation and I would just feel so gross energetically after that I was like, yo, this is not right. You know, and I would even like talk to people about it, like talk to people about it. And I take responsibility. Like, I feel really weird after this. I feel really off. So it's
Mhm.
like once you're noticing sort of that pattern, then you can get clear on like, how bad is it? How am I feeling? Like, what is my body telling me? What is the things that I'm noticing? Do I feel defeated? Do I feel judged? Do I feel alone? Do I feel off? Do I feel tired? Like, what are the things that you're feeling? And is this happening more often than not? Like, how can you also track the really beautiful times? Like, we had fun. I felt seen. I felt heard. I felt all these things and really figure out how to balance that out and understand sort of the patterns that are happening. So, I think you may know in your heart too. And there's a difference between, even with my romantic relationships. Like there's a difference between a breakup that's like, fuck you,
Yeah.
than like, hey, we should move on. Like there's such a
Totally.
difference between the nervous system activated anger breakup with a friend than when there's like, this is not, I love them, but I don't know if this is a fit anymore.
Yeah.
So how can you move yourself from an activated nervous system or from an activated state of anger or judgment or shame, whatever it is that you're in, to a more balanced nervous system so you can make a clearer decision? Because
Mhm.
I think when we're acting from the more activated nervous system state, you're not going to be able to see clearly because then you're really looking from the lens of your trauma and your history. For me, that would essentially be like, I can never trust women. Like, I can never be myself with them, whatever that experience is. Then you're sort of looking at them from that distorted view of what's happened in your past rather than like the clarity of what you know now. So, journaling, I think, is the best way to figure out when you know it's time to break up.
Yeah, and any other way where you can take space and time to be in your own experience and also just take stock of what you can take responsibility for.
Yeah.
If you find that this is a pattern, this is a constant trigger for you,
Mhm.
maybe it's not just this friendship, it's more so that can be tended to and healed. And because there's a part of me that just wants to be quick about these things
Yeah.
and like burn the house down and be like, we're
Yep.
done.
I
And then
think for a lot of people.
yes.
Mhm.
And there's that like higher self that's like, take all the time that you need. Like
Mhm.
kind of be with this feeling, be with this choice. And I think for me, I had to get very honest about what I require within
Mhm.
relationship, what I expect of myself, and what I expect of other people. And I say expect more so like kind of in partnership with this other
Mhm.
person
Mhm.
with how we're showing up. And so much of it is energetics because you can feel when
Mhm.
someone's like really just not open,
Mhm.
and it's hard to be like, you need to be more open.
Mhm.
I don't want to go around like convincing people to be more of what I need. So just encouraging people to take time and space. This
Mhm.
doesn't need to be a tomorrow decision and it
Mhm.
doesn't need to happen quickly. Like you can absolutely take your time because if you're anything like us, I feel like there are weeks where we feel something different every day about
Yes.
something that's hard.
Yes. 100%. Yeah, take that time. Okay, question number 2. When is there a need for a conversation and when is it okay to let it organically evolve and dissolve? Yeah. I'm such a this is like I think this is personal too because I think we're probably different in this way where
Mhm.
I can't let something feel off.
Mhm.
Not in like a insane way. I just would not be able to really allow someone that was close to me because I have a fear of what would I say it is? It's like I value my relationship so much that I want to keep every connection that I can in my life. So it's like I couldn't allow something to feel off for too long because it would break my heart to like allow them to go. So for me,
Mhm.
I'm like a conversation person. And not that that's not to say that there have been relationships that are organically evolved and dissolved. So that's the thing that's interesting is like I'm sure there's been relationships in my life that I've let dissolve of people that felt like hurt by that.
Mhm.
But from my perspective, it wasn't a relationship that I felt like needed a conversation or mattered to me enough to need a conversation, to say it bluntly. And then I'm sure on the opposite, I've been dissolved by people and they didn't feel like I was needed enough to have a
Yeah.
conversation. So I think what I've done with relationships to get really clear on like what relationships matter to me is written all of them down, the ones that really matter to me. And then I organize them from like a hierarchical perspective of like, what is the depth of intimacy that this person has access to? What is the lengths to which I will go for this person? And then like, what are the expectations I have for them and they have for me? So who are the people that like definitely would get a conversation if I'm feeling like something is off? Who are the people that, um, will get a less processed conversation and who are the people that really are meaningful for that and then the others are people that can sort of allow the ebbing and flowing naturally of what relationships do, which is sometimes they're super in, sometimes they're super out. People are going through a lot. We're all really busy. So just allowing things to move naturally, but being very clear in my life about the people that would be a conversation and then those that maybe would be like a
Mhm.
dissolve.
Yeah, I really love that. Just literally writing it out and having a hierarchy. But I think for me, this is part of my lesson in friendship where there's that discernment, but then there's also trusting myself to have those conversations. I think that I, in my own experience, have such a specific expectation of what I desire. And if they've shown me otherwise, um, pretty consistently, then I'm out.
Yeah, that's
But have I brought it up to them as it's shown up consistently?
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
It's hard too because it's like this is like, okay, I'm receiving enough data to know something about who
exactly.
you are and I'm making an informed decision on that.
I know.
And then there is that other side where it's like, would you say, hey, I'm experiencing this of
Mhm.
you, but it could just be who they are. So
Exactly.
it's so yeah, that's an interesting one.
But I think within my heart, I kind of have that hierarchy of like, I really can feel when I am being called to have that hard conversation and really
Yeah.
push myself because my inkling is to like kind of lean back a little bit. I had some of those during like 2020, 2021, where like I really had to have some very real hard conversations with some friends that I feel like we kind of fell out and then had to come together as like the people that we are now.
Mhm.
And I was like, "Oh, this is what it feels like. This is what it feels like to work at a relationship
Yes.
and give each other grace and have compassion and also hold our relationship to a higher standard of communication,
Mhm.
of connection, of consistency." And then there are friends like who, there's that category of friends where like you could not see them or talk to them for a while
Yes.
and you just fucking flow and jam every time you
Mhm.
see them and you just feel good. You feel
Yes.
so light and held and seen. And then like the next time you see and talk to them is like in 6 months or a year.
Mhm.
And it's like I have kind of different categories where if there was a falling out, I think it would feel different. So the
Yeah.
falling out feels different with different categories of friends, if
Yes.
that makes sense.
Yes, 100%. How integrated they are in your life and
Yeah.
but I think it's good practice to try as many conversations as possible, especially if you're someone that normally avoids to try and go and like learn and push yourself to have a conversation and speak your truth and speak your heart, because I think those are really like your growth edges and your opportunities
Mhm.
to sort of see where your relationships are. Because I've said this before, but I just don't want to be one of those people that's like, you're my sister. You are like my soulmate. And then not be willing to put in the work of when it gets hard,
Yeah.
with people in my life. So my goal is to be able to go there with the people that I'm really,
Mhm.
on the journey with and be really truthful and honest. And I've been grateful that I've, been able to do that. Okay, question 3. What might cause a friendship breakup?
Ooh.
They fuck your boyfriend. They're talking bad about you. They fuck your boyfriend. They leave you at the club all alone.
I feel like all of those, and what seems to be in the zeitgeist is like different rates of growth
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
evolution,
Mhm.
or different directions.
Yeah, I think that's a
Rates
good one
and
too. I know I
directions.
was thinking about this the other day because I was like, obviously we talk about growth, and in this there is that growth thing. Who was I talking about this with? And I was like, I don't want to be someone that's always like, you're growing more than the other person, because that's
Yeah,
then the ego to be like, sorry,
totally.
I'm growing more than them. They don't want to grow. To always, I think, not narcissistically, but sort of selfishly think that you are the one that is growing more than them
Yes,
is
yes.
kind of delusional,
Yep.
because I think that's an easy thing to tell our egos to be like, actually, I'm growing more than them. I'm going to be more successful. Maybe it's true. Maybe it's not,
Mhm.
and it doesn't need to always be like that. But I think there is like the directional pull, like
Yes.
there's the vibrational pull where people are moving in different ways and people are prioritizing different things.
Mhm.
People are showing up differently. People are falling in and out of integrity.
Mhm.
I think sometimes people can, and even we can fall in and out of integrity. And so someone could be, I had a friend that I was talking to about a friendship breakup she's sort of going through, and she has noticed patterns of falling out of integrity where this person is, doing destructive things,
Mhm.
falling into destructive behaviors repeatedly over time for a long period of time. So this can be something where it can be hard to watch. You want to be there for that person, but there is a point where you aren't aligned from like a very deep value perspective
Sure.
where you need to move on.
And I think this becomes really more apparent than it did in our 20s or our teens, like in our late 20s, 30s, and beyond, because we're going through these like milestones of life. And so to see how friends like show up during those milestones,
Mhm.
whether it's like a big move or like in like
Yep.
engagements, weddings, this, that, the other thing. And, it's like kind of cliche, but it's like you really kind of, with certain friends, you kind of see how those events like affect them, and like you take note,
Yeah.
and usually it's a catalyst for growth and conversation, but sometimes you're like, "Oh wow, okay." And then you piece that and you connect it to kind of like other things, and it's like, "Hmm,
Because that would be indicative of them not fully supporting you in your joy or you in
yeah,
doing what's right for you.
yeah." And again, that's like the part of me that's like, "Man, I would never do that."
Yeah, of course.
Which
Of
is
course.
like a little bit of that ego,
But
but
it's also truth.
it's also true. It's like, for me in my relationships, I require that unconditional support and
Yeah.
love. You don't have to agree.
Yep.
You don't have to, you might not have done it the way I'm doing it, but I think the respect and love has to be unconditional.
Yeah, because you love like the essence,
Yeah.
of the person.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So I think there can be breaks in trust. There can be like value mismatches between
Mhm.
you. There can be where you're noticing that they're not supporting you in your growth or supporting you in what you're wanting to do. So that's like a values mismatch too, where it's like I have the understanding that we support each other in whatever decisions, even if we don't understand them. And then this person might be like, it's actually very important to me that you have decisions that align with my values and
Mhm.
you're not following those. So I think that's really important too. I've had relationships break up in the past, and this is like years ago, where yeah, there was like one where I was very much started to do things. It was like at the beginning of my spiritual awakening that were very outside of like the norm of what our relationship was.
Sure.
And it was, very codependent. I loved this person very much and I still do, but it's like, it was not normal for, like, I stopped drinking. I started to meditate. I started to really do things differently. And yeah, it was not a good thing. It was like not a good feeling to feel like I wasn't being supported in my change. But then also
Sure.
this person was like, you're being weird.
Totally.
And this is not comfortable for me. So I've had that when I've been very young. And then as I've gotten older, I've had friendship breakups where it's been like an enmeshed situation where someone wants to enmesh with me. And I've been in enmeshment situations. And now at this stage, like I cannot be in an enmeshed relationship.
Yeah.
Those enmeshments are like, that's like the wanting to be with them 24/7. Like, let's cuddle, let's hug, like, let's do these things. Like, let's be together 24/7. Let's kind of like have our energies become one.
Yes.
So that we are just kind of addicted to each other's like energy. And as like an adult, you can't really do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Completely. I used to shame myself for not being that type of friend that liked that.
Oh my God.
Because I feel like so many
Kinda did,
people
yeah, I
are
knew,
kind of like
yes,
that.
yes.
Where they're like seeing their friends all the time,
Yes.
consistently doing all these things. And I just, for some reason, had an aversion. I think it was just like early experiences where I'm like, oh, I probably can't show up that consistently. And I feel bad about that or, something
Yes.
to
No,
that
it's
extent.
true.
But yeah, it's very interesting to kind of see those patterns in adulthood.
Mhm.
But I feel like you've done such a good job
Mhm.
of like identifying that too.
Early now.
Yeah.
Like I can see,
Yeah,
I
it's
can
nice.
like hang out with one person. I'm like, oh wow, they want to mesh with me.
Never again.
Never again. Like ta-ta. I ain't got time to enmesh.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Listen, I know life can be really overwhelming. I know a lot of you out there are probably feeling burned out without even knowing it. Symptoms can include lack of motivation, feeling helpless or trapped, attachment fatigue, and many more. I've definitely been burned out before. I've felt really detached from people, from my life in general, from my passion, from just my vitality. I've felt just a low-level anxiousness all the time. I've felt fatigue. I feel like because my mind is just running. And so if this sounds like you, if you've ever felt burned out, if you're feeling burned out right now, I highly, highly recommend therapy. I highly recommend BetterHelp. A lot of us have busy lives. And so if therapy can be easy, virtual, and affordable, y'all, I got you. Any of the roles in your life, a parent, a sister, a friend, a boss, really anything can cause burnout. So having a therapist really can help you figure out what is causing stress in your life, help you to redefine it, and really get to the root of what is happening. I've been in therapy for 3 years and it's the best investment I've ever made, hands down. BetterHelp, if you don't know, is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist. So you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's really awesome. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can be matched with a therapist in under 48 hours. Almost 30 listeners, yes, that is you. You're listening to this podcast. You get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/almost30. That's betterhelp.com/almost30. BETTERHELP.com/almost30. I just got the sweetest DM. It was a compliment on my skin. And I take that in because it hasn't always been my story that my skin is something that I love and I think is beautiful. And so I've worked really hard and I've found products that I truly love and that work and keep not only the skin on my face, but the skin on my body just really healthy and smooth and glowing. And it's summer, baby. And I just wanted to share some of my favorite products to keep your skin healthy and glowing because you deserve it. And these products are from Osea. Osea skincare and body products help your skin just get ready for every summer look. I swear to you, it will nourish and soften and smooth your skin. And what I love about Osea is that their products are safe, responsibly sourced, vegan, cruelty-free, and powered by the sea. Oh, you're going to feel it. My favorite is the Undaria algae body oil. It's a cult favorite. It's gone viral many a times. It is just so delicious. It smells amazing. It's rich, never greasy. It's luxurious. And again, you're going to smell so good. It doesn't leave my skin feeling sticky. I hate when that happens. So I just sweep it on my legs and my arms. Y'all, when I go out, people are like, what? What? Oh, I love the compliments. So if you are looking for a new skincare and body care brand that is clean and vegan, cruelty-free, responsibly sourced, Osea is it. OseaMalibu.com. OSEA Malibu.com and get a special discount just for our listeners. It's 10% off your first order site-wide with promo code ALMOST30. Plus, Osea is amazing and they'll give you free samples with every order. And orders over $50 get free shipping. So don't wait. OseaMalibu.com, OSEA Malibu.com. Promo code is almost 30. You're going to get 10% off plus a bunch of free samples with your order. And you get free shipping on orders over $50. Enjoy.
Okay, let's go through our suggestions of how to heal from friendship breakups, because I think this is the really important piece. Okay.
Yes.
So the first bit is on healing from a friendship breakup or healing from a toxic friendship is to feel your emotions. So friendships can really, really break our hearts. And there's actually science about this because especially if you're a female in a female friendship, the mother is life-giving. The mother is our life when we are a child. So that's why the mother wound is so important to heal. But we often can project or place that same sort of attachment on our female friendships. So when we have a breakup with a female friend, it can feel as painful as if our mother was abandoning, rejecting us, or not loving us. So it can really hit us from like a somatic, energetic, painful perspective. So friendship breakups sometimes can be even more deep and even harder. I think they've been almost harder for me than my romantic relationship breakups because I sometimes let them in a little bit more, over the years. So friends can really, really break your heart. So allow yourself to feel your emotions. Breakups can make you angry, resentful, or sad. And you have to really process this instead of holding it in. Otherwise, it will leave you feeling bitter for a long time. We all know those people that are super bitter.
Yes.
And you want to feel it so you don't hold it in your body.
Yeah, I feel like that's become more obvious to me, the in between of just allowing the mourning of like an end of something.
Yes.
Whether it's friendships or kind of a changing relationship, and the quickness with which I find myself being like, okay, so what's the next iteration, or just kind of numbing that feeling is really interesting. But I completely agree. It's allowing yourself space and time, and then also knowing that it'll pass much quicker. Like it does pass. Things get better, like it actually frees up quite a bit of energy.
Yes.
It frees up just space for something else to come in. And if you kind of attune yourself to that possibility, I think you'll see it much sooner.
Yeah. And, anger is a secondary emotion. I learned from couples therapy on Showtime. Anger is a secondary emotion. So it's like, what is beneath that? Because for me, anger is like an easy place for me to go. But like really beneath our anger is something much deeper, is, that heartbreak, is that deep sadness, is that grief. So how can you get to that emotion and really work with that emotion? And I think a part of feeling your emotions is really allowing yourself to feel like the depth and breadth without judgment, just being like really going there and really even sometimes I like to pull in other relationships. Like if I'm on a roll of really feeling, I'm like, oh, I'm going to also feel this one. I'm going to also like work through this one, because if you're already in that energetic state of like really cracked open feeling, might as well like work through it all. So feel your emotions is number one. So number two, take accountability for the part that you played. Learn as many lessons as you can. Self-reflect. What part have you played in this situation? What has this shown you about yourself? You guys didn't think we were going to let you off the hook, did you? We are accountability assholes over here. We are all about the accountability piece. And I think this is when I see graphics and, social media posts and things on friendship breakups, this is the part that I'm always like looking out with like a I'm always have my magnifying glass out for, because if I'm seeing someone talking about a friendship breakup or talking about anything really and not taking accountability for their part, that is a huge red flag for me, because then they're obviously in delusion and
Yes.
victim mentality of like not taking responsibility for the part that they played. Because even if it was a completely toxic person, then you need to check in on your boundaries and you need to check in on your communication and you need to see why this person was in your life. So accountability is so, so big. It can be hard to take it at first. I think the way that I like to do it is to feel the emotions as long as I need and then sort of like work my way into the accountability, because it
Yes.
can feel like if you're working on figuring out, what has this shown you about yourself within the first moments, you can kind of bypass the feeling. And I think we all like to do that. We all like to move ourselves along the healing process quicker than we might be ready. So really allow yourselves to feel before you're looking for accountability points.
And if you can kind of detach from like the identification with the one in the relationship. So, meaning for me, I like to kind of take a bird's eye view where I'm kind of like looking at the relationship as a whole. I'm bringing in some memories, some experiences, and I'm
Yeah.
like, huh, okay. Like, I absolutely didn't communicate during that time. That
Yes.
felt really uneasy and chaotic,
Yeah.
right? But like being able to survey it without shaming yourself or judging yourself, it's like kind of part of the gift
Yeah.
for you to be able to see it now. And then also surveying the purpose and the gifts within the relationship. That was one of my like favorite things to do post friendship breakup where I was like, wow, that was actually really beautiful. We were
Hmm.
friends for this amount of time. During that time, these are the gifts in which, from my perspective, we offered to each other and the things we accomplished and the support that we showed each other. And you can forget that so easily within like a breakup mood. You can forget that there was like a purpose or a few purposes within that relationship. So if we're just talking about like the higher perspective and why both of your souls came together, you can allow yourself to feel into that and feel really good about it. Like that you were able to kind of pick up on what your soul desired to learn within this relationship.
Yeah. Each relationship shows you so much about
Mhm.
yourself. And I think the ones that I've had, it's like, oh, wow, if I'm attracting enmeshed people, it's like, what about me is doing that? The fact that I can abandon myself easily, I can be really someone that's like in full support of someone else's dreams and mission and completely lose sight of my own.
Mhm.
And so it's like, how am I even attracting these small situations of these people? And it's really fun. Like when you can love yourself enough to be your own advocate and be like, oh, girl, like we got this situation. We're doing it again. Like
Mhm.
we've kind of played this part with a lot of people where you're codependent or where you're like, whatever.
Yes.
How can you be honest about this yourself? So it's interesting too in the way that we speak, like in culture, because it's like the psychology words and all of that we use, but it's like there's more and there's sometimes even like the deeper shadow
Yeah.
where it's like, were you talking shit about them all the time? Like being real with yourself, like, because if you can't be real with yourself, you can't be real with anyone else. So it's like if you're sitting home alone and you're like, you know what? Fuck this bitch. I don't want to be friends with her. And you're like,
Mhm.
I talked to a lot of shit about her.
Yeah.
Like I really like did not say kind things. I didn't think kind things.
Yeah.
Be honest with yourself about that, because you just can't be sitting there being in the victim. It doesn't help anybody.
Yep. Completely. Completely.
Okay, so number 3, seek to unlearn any habits you may have subconsciously picked up from previous toxic relationships or family members. So use this as a guide for you and where you're repeating patterns in need of healing. So for me, the mother wound is perfect in alignment for this. There was patterns as it relates to my mom and our insecure attachment and sort of like the attention, not attention, attention, not attention, attention for specific things, attention for not these things, very inconsistent and erratic. And I was seeking out relationships with women that were insecure attachments. So the relationships that I would prioritize my energy were women that were not fully committing their attachment to me or their energy to me. And
Mhm.
I'd have very solid connections and relationships, and I wouldn't prioritize my energy as much. Like even with you or other friends, I didn't do that, but I started to notice myself. I'm like, oh, why am I using so much brain space thinking about these certain female friendships that I find
Mhm.
to be, I'm wondering if they like me. I'm wondering if they're mad at me. I'm wondering if they're not mad at me. I'm wondering if they're talking bad about me. I'm wondering if they think I'm great, whatever, if they think I suck. And I'm focusing so much of my mental space on that rather than the ones that are very consistent and loving and always there. So, really thinking about the subconscious patterns you've picked up from your mom, from your dad, from things you've witnessed in your life to use it as a guide for you for where you're repeating patterns that really are providing themselves an opportunity for your healing.
Yes. I come from a long line of whether it's people pleasers or those that don't really say how they feel. And I think, and also are consistently vulnerable within intimate relationships with friends or otherwise. And yes, it's been such an unlearning to know that I can be vulnerable within relationship. I don't always have to be the one just listening to the other person be vulnerable. That it really, in order to balance and deepen the connection, there needs to be vulnerability on my side as well. And I've been able to connect the dots back to whether it's like what I saw growing up or what I was taught was like proper, polite,
Mhm.
or the safe way to be in relationship. And, there's no like shade because obviously they learned from their parents or grandparents and what have you. But um, now, once it's within your awareness and you're conscious to it, it's such a gift. You get to like work with it and work
Mhm.
on it. So that's definitely something I'm unlearning.
Yeah, and it's nice to be in relationships where you can be like, "Oh, I noticed, with my mom, I could not handle outbursts."
Yes.
Like I shut down if someone gets angry at me,
Mhm.
and I can feel their energy angry. So, how can you use that knowledge? You all are, doing so much of this work and self inquiry. So, how can you use that within the conversations or within these friendships or even as you're processing the breakup? So, number four is take time to process. So, really, really take your time to process, heal on your own terms, give yourself permission to take your time.
Yeah. We can feel like there's such an urgency in these moments where for me, my personal anxiety is like, are they mad at me? Are
Hmm.
they thinking things that are untrue about me? Let me try to get in there and make sure they know what my truth is
Hmm.
and let me try to fix it so we don't have um this like dis-ease within our relationship. But time and space allows for you to regulate your
Hmm.
nervous system. It allows for your own truth to become more clear rather than clouded by the heightened emotion
Hmm.
around this idea of a friendship breakup or chaos within a relationship.
Yeah, I mean, it can take months or years depending on, how this relationship impacted you or how this happened. I have my one friend. I mean, I still have dreams about her all the time. It's so
Mm,
crazy. Um, yeah, it's just, because I just feel so much love for that person, but you can just like take your time. It
mhm.
may be triggered in different ways. It may be bothering you in different ways, but just with all healing, really heal on your own terms. So, number five, it's okay to express how you feel with others. Some of us need support in order to process things. So, avoid talking to people who know you both. So, this is really being able to give yourself the permission to process with your friends and talk to your friends and express. It can be tempting to isolate yourself and to feel alone and to feel like you're bad or feel like you don't have support. So it is okay if you're a verbal processor. You obviously know I very much am a verbal
Mhm.
processor. Everything
Mhm.
has to come up and out, or else I get depressed if I don't process and express, especially anger. And so just being sure to don't use your friend group. If you have a
Yeah.
group, don't use people in the group, use people outside of it. You don't want to like muddy the waters and make people pick sides and really influence people in ways that really isn't fair because you're really just expressing your opinion. I think that's such a red flag if you have a situation with a friend group where I haven't experienced this, but like someone is talking bad about another person in the group and sort of creating that like toxic water for everyone can be really, really dangerous.
Mhm.
I've seen some of my friends go through that. So that's like a red flag too for friends. And I think within this episode, also thinking about your red flags a little bit. Like for me, talking shit, If I don't really know you, red flag.
100%.
If I know you, say whatever the fuck.
Safe with me.
Safe with me.
That's why I think therapy has been so important, because even friends outside of the situation
yes,
sometimes aren't as neutral as I'd like them to be, because they love you. They're like, no, girl, that's bullshit. And you're like, yeah. And, I like hearing it because it's like comforting.
Yes.
And I also, at this stage in my life, really appreciate a neutrality. And if there is another perspective that I'm missing, I appreciate that being brought to the table. And I think therapy really offers that to me. And it's also interesting to tell a story or an experience to a therapist who hasn't heard it before. Yes. They don't know anything about it. And then the act of saying it out loud almost brings things to light. Do you know what I mean? Because sometimes with friends who are familiar with you, you're almost psychically kind of filling in the blanks. But with the therapist, they're like, wait. So when you said this to this person in this way, sorry, how did they react? And how did you feel? So it almost allows you to like break it down a little bit more and really get out of the heightened emotional vortex of it all and be like, what happened? In couples therapy, we were watching that part where she's like, what can we agree on as to what happened?
Oh, I love that.
Which was really interesting.
Oh, I love that.
Because you can have your experience, I can have my experience. They could be kind of on opposite ends of the spectrum. But what can we agree on that happened?
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I fucking love that. Okay, so the next one, number 6, be your own best friend. Do things by yourself that you would normally do with your friends. Get comfortable being in your own energy. Your aura changes when you do this, and you start attracting people who support you, supporting yourself. So really learn, and I think this is probably the most important one of them all, is to be your own best friend. You know, how can you take all the energy you were pouring into others, you've been pouring into this relationship, or even the energy that has been siphoned or has been like exhausting you if you're in a toxic relationship, and just really call that back to yourself and really learn to be comfortable being alone. I think that's the biggest lesson with it all. If the more painful it is, sometimes the more fearful we are of being alone with our feelings and emotions. So really, really learning to be in your own energy.
Yeah, it's so important. And I feel like I did this with dating where I'm like, I got me. And it's in friendship too, where it's like, can I treat myself the way in which I desire to be treated by my friends and have that be the model, kind of the standard. Number 7.
Number 7, keep your heart open. Don't let the situation stop you from opening up to new friends when your heart is ready to. So after all the healing, keeping your heart open is so important. Number 8, you might not always get an apology or an opportunity to talk about it. This can be the hardest part because we feel like we never got closure, but that's not true. You give yourself closure. This is my thing. I say, I'm like, we always want those perfect conversations where, we have someone apologize and they say all the right things. Like that will literally most likely never happen. So you have to give yourself closure. I don't know if I told you, one of my friends had a friendship breakup and was just thinking about them and was like, reached out and was like, hey, like, I know we ended bad. I'd love to see you and talk. And they met. I'll tell you who after. And they said it was unreal. They were like, this person has been stewing and hating me.
No way.
Every second. Like basically like fell into depression because of this person. Like literally was
now I'm like, oh, God.
like a 10 out of 10 angry.
Wow.
And this person, he came back. It's a guy. He came back to it and was like, I'm excited to like kind of like clear the air, just kind of let it go, whatever. And this person literally was like, no, you actually ruined my life. You tortured me. It was like such different perspectives. And it was just so funny because he's like, I had no idea this affected him so much. This was
and who's that on?
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Because that's hard.
100%. That's exactly. It's like there's no But it was just interesting because we have this expectation of what closure may feel like, of what it's expected to do. And I have this saying with romantic relationships too. It's like you have to really create your own closure within yourself because no one else is going to complete that part of you or really fill up to the expectation you have of what the closure should look and feel like.
Yeah, that's been kind of an important point of discernment for me. Does this deserve the closure or not?
Yes. Okay. So you create your own closure in life. All right, my loves, I'm hopeful this was helpful for you. And if you're going through it, you are not alone. I think we should do a workshop in our membership about this.
I think so
We should
too.
really do some community support for this type of thing because it is so heartbreaking. But for resources beyond this, I highly suggest Discover the Inner Mother book on the mother wound. I highly suggest the mother wound episodes that we've done are really powerful. We've also done we did a female friendships roundtable and we've done multiple relationships on female friendship. So make sure to dig into those as soon as you can.
Yeah, we're thinking about you all. Thank you so much for listening. As always, send this to a friend. Maybe it's the conversation starter with the friend that you want to have a conversation with. But we appreciate you. Make sure you subscribe. We have new episodes every single week. We have a lot of these solo episodes with Kristen and I and us individually. And we just appreciate your listenership. And finally, thank you to our sponsors for this episode. You can find all discount information in our show notes and on almost30.com/partners. Thank you all. We will see you really soon.
See you soon.